Welcome into beautiful Orlando, Camping World Stadium, the Camping World kickoff where Florida State does what they do. 7 straight wins now, going back to last season. 2 straight wins in this stadium, Corey Clark. And another huge win against an LSU team that was number 5 in the country.
Not for long.
They were number 5 in the country. Florida State was number 8 in the country.
Not for long.
Soon that will be different. Florida State completely takes over the second half, down by 3 at halftime, and just steamrolled to 31 straight points, took over the game, didn't leave it to a last play this time.
Nope.
And the Noles get the 45-24 win to improve to 1-0 in the season. In this, ladies and gentlemen, we have a sponsor now for the Warchant Wrap.
A long time coming.
The Vitamin Energy Warchant Wrap is here. And Corey Clark, you know a little bit about Vitamin Energy, right?
I take it all the time. I give it to kids. I give it to pets. I have so much you wouldn't know. You wouldn't believe how much vitamin energy I have. But it's great. You got the Warchant BOGO. You go to the website. I assume it's vitaminenergy.com. And you type in Warchant BOGO. BOGO, Ira, stands for buy one. Well, no, it stands for buy one, get one.
Right.
Means buy one, you get one free.
Right.
So there you go. Go do it, folks. Go. We know there's going to be millions of people watching this. If only half of you go to that website, they're going to make tons of bank.
And they're run by Noles, so we want to support Vitamin Energy because they support us also.
Yeah, that's right.
But man, what a game. At halftime, Florida State, again, I think probably a lot of you that have been watching our videos and reading our coverage at warchant.com during preseason camp, at halftime, we're probably thinking, what the hell were those guys talking about? Because Florida State did not look like that team. They dropped some passes. Jordan Travis had a terrible interception. Could have had a second one.
They would have been worse.
One in a chance to go up to score a touchdown, and then another one which could have set up an LSU touchdown. The defense did not look great. Gave up some huge chunk plays, but I thought was impressive, and it really stands out now that they won the game, was they hung in there. You know, man, like LSU probably should have been up two or at least two scores.
That was their chance, because you saw in the second half who the better team was. There was no doubt. But LSU got some breaks. You know, Keon letting a ball roll to the 1, which he probably should have fielded. That set up a short field for LSU. And there was some breaks that went against. Florida State.
Some questionable officiating,
questionable calls, all that, and then it comes into they're only up by 3 at the half, and I think you should have felt pretty good, even with that inexplicable defense at the end of the half to let that 3rd and 10 draw. But we're not going to focus on the negative. You just watched a team, and I just wrote this column that'll be on our website. Hopefully, by the time you're watching this, that I think that's the best, most impressive win by a Florida State team. A dominating win since 2013 Clemson, because that's a good team. I don't know if LSU's great. They might have been overranked, but they're good. They're good, and you just went on a 31-0 run against them. That's not going to happen to them the rest of the season.
And I guess the conventional wisdom from SEC fans or college football fans who think the SEC is so great and so much more dominant than other conferences, the theory would be in the second half Florida State would be the team that would kind of wilt. But I thought Florida State got better and better as the game got on. The defensive line, you saw the depth. Some of the defensive defensive players came in and made big plays.
A lot of them. Deuce Spann, you got to see what kind of quarterback he could be with the right coach.
That was a big play.
Holy moly, was that crazy.
But I thought what was really cool is, and one of the things I think we thought coming into this game was that we thought Florida State had better transfers, did a better job with their transfers they brought in than LSU might have done with their transfers.
Yes.
And I think that was borne out, man. Keon Coleman with 3 touchdowns, Jaheim Bell catches it. He got a slower start, but he catches a touchdown pass and runs for a touchdown.
And sends that kid to the moon when he runs into the end zone.
Florida State's transfers, man, they nailed it.
Well, look, and we talked about this yesterday or Saturday on the live show. I think it was Saturday, right? Yeah, in Orlando at Hooch. That I think I compared him to a taller Rashad Green. And I know that might sound blasphemous. I look, after one game, really after watching him this last month and then seeing what it looks like in a game, he's probably better than Rashad Green. Can we go ahead and say that? Like, he's more talented than Rashad Green. He obviously isn't going to have the same college career, and I love Rashad Green. He was awesome and clutch. But Keon Coleman, man,
you're only going to get 1 year with Keon Coleman.
I don't know if he's coming back. I don't know if Battle's End can work that magic. But look, he's different, man. He's the best receiver they've had in a long time. And you put him opposite Johnny. Look, man, they shot themselves in the foot. Right. They could have easily scored 50 points. And I thought Jordan was fantastic after those 2 terrible throws that he made. I thought he was exceptional, but that's to be expected because he is exceptional. This was not out of the norm for him. This is the guy he is now. You have one of the best quarterbacks in the country to go along with probably the best 1-2 receiver combo in the country. And I know
This wasn't Johnny's best game.
No, he dropped a couple horrible, huge passes, but he also caught 7 for over 100, and all 7 were for first downs. That's what the kid. Exactly, it was 7 for 102, and people are they're wringing their hands about the guy. But yeah, he's going to do some of that, but he makes up for it because he catches first downs. All his catches went for first downs. You saw Jaheim Bell. What I thought was cool, Ira, and I meant to write this in the column, I didn't, so this is exclusive for you guys. After Jaheim Bell's long 50-yard touchdown, watching Jeremiah Byers and Casey Roddick, the two offensive line transfers that play. Keandre Jones played a lot too, by the way. But those two guys celebrating. Jeremiah Byers lost his mind. He was so excited. Casey Roddick did like a Tiger Woods fist pump all the way to the ground. It's like, man, those guys they've never played in anything like this.
Well, they've only been here for 7 or 8 months, but yeah,
they're that invested.
Yeah, exactly.
And they feel that, man, to do what they did. You know, you play at Colorado and don't win games, and then you play at UTEP and nobody comes, and then you're in this environment. As Norvell said, it was a championship-level environment. That crowd was great. The FSU crowd was great. I just thought that was really cool to see those guys enjoy a moment like that.
Yeah, and I mean, literally.
And they did great, by the way. The offensive line pass protected really well.
Yeah, and I mean, it's one of those things. I saw some comments on social media where people are kind of ripping the offensive line a little bit because they couldn't get the running game going. Man, that's a legit big-time defense, man. They did.
Ain't that big time, baby?
Well,
ain't that big time? Well, they went up against a bigger-time offense.
Exactly.
Honestly, yeah.
But, you know, I mean, that was a good defensive front, and they were loading the box, and Florida State was trying to run into it. But then they wore on them, and then later in the game, Trey Benson started becoming Trey Benson again. You got to see him. And Lawrence Toafili had some big runs.
Rodney Hill ran over a kid, stole a soul. Trey Benson's got to be, in my opinion, he's got to be better than that. He was not very good in that game, I didn't think, for him, for what he can be. He's just got to, he picked some wrong holes. He missed it. He ran backwards a couple times instead of just taking the 2 yards. He's got to be better than that. But again, does he? I mean, they just put up 500 yards and 41 points against number 5 team in the country with him having a subpar game. But Toafili, man, that kid's Mr. Reliable and has been that way since he's been here.
Yeah, and Ryan Fitzgerald had kicked his one field goal. Start the second half. That was big.
All he does is make kicks.
It's only a 33-yarder, but it was big because they had to have those points because they as you said earlier, they gave up the score right before halftime. I thought defensively, man, there's a lot of questions. That's probably the biggest question about this team coming into this game. And right off the bat, they had a wheel play. The guy gets out for a huge gain. Florida State basically, I ran into one of the defensive coaches after the game. He said basically 3 different players busted their assignments on that play, and they all realized as soon as they did it, it was just caught up in the emotions. And I think that was the whole team in the first half. Jordan, like you said, was not himself. The way switching gears real quick back to Jordan, because there's one thing I want to say. What was impressive about him, most impressive, I thought, was that he sorted it out in the first half. He didn't have to wait to get to halftime. The drive he put together before the end of the half.
That's a big time drive. He made a big third down throw to Johnny. That's a huge moment in that game. And then the even bigger throw to Winston Wright, which welcome back to college football, Winston Wright. That's a great story. But him making that catch on third down to keep that drive alive, and then Keon did what Keon did. But that second touchdown for Keon doesn't happen without Jordan making those throws to John. Those were big time throws, and the game seemed kind of on the precipice of maybe getting away from Florida State a little bit.
And we were talking in the press box, if they don't score there and LSU gets the ball again, they may go up 2 touchdowns at halftime. And it could be a different story. But you got to give them credit also. They didn't play sharp in the first half, FSU's defense, but they did fight, man. Those 4th down stops were huge.
2 of them, 2 big ones.
I mean, again, 2 years in a row now, LSU, when they've tried to run the ball with their traditional running game, they've gotten nothing.
Zero. And that should hearten Florida State fans, because you're not going to face a lot of Jaden Daniels the rest of the way. And if teams are going to have that much trouble running traditionally, and you can pin your ears back because it's always 3rd and 11 or 3rd and 8, you're going to win most games by a lopsided score, because if they can't run the ball on you, you're in really good shape. Malcolm Ray played a ton. That's probably the best game Dennis Briggs has played as a Florida State Seminole, and they needed it. He played a lot. He played more than Fabian Lovett. I think Malcolm Ray played more than Fabian Lovett. I thought Edmond made a huge play. Made some big plays, Byron Turner made some big plays, especially on kickoff coverage. Man, that guy's a whirling dervish on kickoff coverage. But they played Barker. They played Kevin Noles. They played probably 10 guys in the secondary, even before that last play where they gave up the touchdown with all the freshmen on the field.
Yeah, just a really impressive win all the way around. I think what it does for Florida State, and I think what we talked about from a big picture standpoint in the offseason was, this wasn't a do-or-die game for Florida State. I mean, LSU proved that last year. They lost to Florida State and still won the SEC West, went to the SEC Championship game. Florida State could have, if they lost this game, if you still, if you beat Clemson, you still have a chance to win the ACC and maybe go to the playoff.
You can lose. You
But
can now lose at Clemson.
You've got,
and you don't want to. You're not predicting that.
But it's not the pressure of the world when they go to Clemson.
Right. You will get another chance at Clemson if you continue to play well, even if you lose that game. But man, and the whole nation watched.
Right.
The whole nation saw. If Jordan Travis wants to win the Heisman, he did. Well, Keon Coleman might be leading the way right now. Well, actually, it's that kid in Colorado, but we don't talk about him. I wasn't talking about him. I was talking about the DB wide receiver. Man, what is he missing out here? That would have been fun. Anyway, that was such a big time moment for this program, because as I wrote, man, I know people wanted to believe. I know people want to believe what we're telling them, that this is a good team. But to see it, you believe now. You believe this is a top 5 national championship contending football team. You saw it out there. LSU, I don't know the last time they gave up 31 points in a row to anyone, or when Brian Kelly has. And they just put it on them for 2 quarters and looked like the best team in the country. I know it's September 3rd or whatever. It's early, but they looked like the best team in the country for the last hour and a half of that football game. And
we were talking to a lot of Florida State fans at the events here in Orlando. We had a big event. A lot of Warchant fans came as well. A lot of Florida State fans in downtown Orlando. It was awesome. Love meeting you guys. But the kind of consensus from talking to all the fans was they were excited, but they were nervous.
They were also nervous. They had their hopes up.
Yeah, this is the first time in a long time that they've really had something on the line.
Now, where are those hopes going to be? Calm yourselves, guys. You got a lot. Southern Miss coming in 6 days, right? You got to ground yourself again. But actually, don't, because believe in this team, man, and enjoy it, because they gave you reason to believe. Nothing about that was fluky. Right. Nothing. Your quarterback is one of the best quarterbacks in the country. You probably have the best wide receiver core in the country. Your running backs are good. Your tight ends are good. Your offensive line is good. And then your defense, I promise you, is a pretty good defense. Yeah. It's not incredible, but it is a good defense with a lot of good football players that held them to 89 yards until that final play in the second half.
LSU came into this game feeling very good about their offensive line. They have Jaden Daniels, one of the top athletes in the country at quarterback, and they have an All-American wide receiver. They have some weapons. They have some nice pieces, and Florida State did a nice job overall until that last touchdown against the freshman DBs.
Who are better than that, by the way, I promise you. That was a weird play there. They're better than that. Believe in those guys, too. And also, we wondered what the crowd was going to be like, Ira, because it was 50-50 last year. I thought it would be Florida State heavy because LSU was just here in January, and I know Florida State was too, but Florida State fans live in the state. Man, that was a unbelievable showing by Florida State fans. I would say 80-20.
Yeah,
probably.
Exactly. And at
the end, it was 99-1. I think the parents of LSU kids were left.
Impressive all around for Florida State. Great win for Mike Norvell.
Great win for Vitamin Energy.
And I was going to say,
BOGO.
Stay connected to Warchant.com. We have plenty of coverage. Read Corey's column. I've got a story about Keon Coleman. I talked to some of his family members about his journey, why he's not playing for LSU, why he's playing for Florida State. You can read that at the website. Matt's doing a story for the morning as well, kind of about Jordan versus Jaden Daniels. Jordan winning that battle of the 2 quarterbacks. Corey doesn't know it yet, but he's writing a story about the defense for the morning. We've got plenty of videos, lots of coverage at Warchant.com, and go check out vitaminenergy.com. What's the promo code?
I think it's Warchant BOGO. Again, BOGO stands for buy one, get one.
We appreciate the tip, because we wouldn't have figured that out. For Corey Clark and Aslan Hajavandi, this is Ira Schoffel signing off once again with a win in Camping World Stadium.
All we do in this stadium.